everyone. Welcome to another edition of Where the 99 Lead. Of course, those historic 99 steps that lead to the University of Pikeville campus and lead from campus back into the community and into the world. It's a new academic year at the University of Pikeville. Students are now on campus, and we're joined by a special guest that's been here to talk about several different subjects, including biology and some courses and programs surrounding biology at the University of Pikeville. Today's focus, first-year students and those students that are on campus for the very first time. Dr. Matthias Meyer, Associate Professor of Biology, joins us. Welcome back. Good to have you here again.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Talk a little about your background. You seem like an old friend. We know the whole backstory, but for those that are tuned in that don't know your background, give us a little of that.
I moved from South Africa to the United States about 20 years ago. Joined the University of Pikeville. I'm going into my 6th year. My background is in biology, but I've got a large interest in pedagogy. How do we involve students? How do we make things better? And so this is much of what we're going to talk about today, is this idea of how do we welcome our students to campus better and make it better for students, work on our retention, our student success in the long run.
It's the focus of the family at the University of Pikeville, making sure that students have every opportunity to succeed.
Well, we are a school of opportunity, and so obviously with that opportunity comes responsibility from us as a faculty, us as an institution. And I think one of the things that keeps me at the University of Pikeville and makes me very happy here is that focus. It's obviously important for us to make sure that students succeed in the long run. You know, I was a non-traditional student myself. I came here from a different country. And my academic career was predicated on these people that cared, you know, and so I think care, we can make it whatever we want to, but in the end, if we are a community and we bring students into that community, in the long run, those students will be successful.
Absolutely. Dr. Meyer, you spent most of the summer helping lead a team of UPike faculty and staff who welcomed first-year students to campus during orientation week. Give us an overview of that program this year.
The program this year, it was a rough one. It's the first year we did it. This program came back to the faculty last May, so a year ago. Last year we ran a program, an academic program. We wrote curriculum over the last summer, and then we decided that we want to add this additional part of an orientation on campus for students. And so we got with the changes and administration stuff, we got our budget rather late, and so we started end of May. We started prepping for this semester.
Sure.
And so it was a rough semester, and for me it was a wonderful one. I actually got to learn so much about the University of Pikeville. It seems sometimes we get stuck down at our departments and with our courses and stuff, and we don't get to know people as well as we can in the larger community. And so for me it was a revelation working at the university this summer, trying to get this program ready. We ran it, and it was very, very successful, I think. And it was actually the result of so many people on campus working together.
You had a team of faculty and staff that welcomed those students. Who made up that team?
We're trying to be interdisciplinary with that team. So this idea of silos within institutions and higher academics, you know, we've got football teams, we've got administration, we've got people doing PR. And so those silos are oftentimes established. And what I found is that we don't. So my direct team was faculty, and then staff pulled from student success, the library, most of the undergrad departments. But then I found out that there's a much larger group of people supporting us. For instance, Lucy Holman's group from PR did amazing things to me. You obviously know Stephanie very well. And Stephanie was a great guide for me. She helped me a lot. The rock star of all campus chaplains, Rob Music, was involved in a lot of things.
Star.
Yeah, and an amazing person. And then specifically, Katie Williamson from the library came in. Now, incidental to that, there were many people that played parts. I mean, from facilities, the coaches made some really great connection with the coaches, especially Coach Holland from the football team, and then also Coach Wells from basketball team. They were all playing a peripheral role in this. But the central team was definitely, we've got a committee, the first year studies committee, and they played a central role in that.
Very good. All different departments coming together: athletics, academics, faculty, staff, administration, I'm sure involved as well. And that's what it's all about. And I find it interesting that you've got those that are in their department that may not need to relate to those first year students, but take it upon themselves and try to further build the community and provide success for those first year students. What did you learn through the process of working with many different departments, stepping outside of your world of biology?
I mean, the most amazing thing that I learned is often we get stuck in that rut.
Yeah.
You know, I go down, I go to Armington, I go to my office, I work there. It's my exposure to other people on campus and how much they support the similar mission I held. So I always knew the president and the provost, they support the mission, and I knew faculty that supported that mission, but stepping out and getting to know these people that oftentimes do not get that close to the classroom, right? They're not in the classroom, but that they have exactly the same mission we have. And that mission is central to the mission of the University of Pikeville. You know, we believe we are student-centered. We are student-centered. I saw that, not only from our faculty and our staff, but then also from people that you know, in my heart sometimes I believe rarely gets close enough to students, but they do. They were there all the way supporting, helping, especially innovating, you know. And it wasn't just that there was this central committee. It was people who were coming from all walks of campus and telling us and helping us.
Dr. Tace Meyer, Associate Professor of Biology at the University of Pikeville, our guest on this edition as we talk about first-year students, the first-year experience at the University of Pikeville, how important that is to provide an opportunity for student success. Why the increased focus on the first-year experience?
You know, I think, you know, first of all, from our perspective, you know, we come from the literature. We're scientists. We look at the literature. And one of the high impact practices that has been identified nationally that helps students to be more successful is this idea of kind of shared intellectual experience, an orientation, a first year studies program, and those kind of things. Now more personally, one of the things that we realize is that oftentimes this idea of empathy and caring about students, I just asked students, so we spoke to a lot of freshman students last year, and it was like, you know, talk to them. And one of the messages we got, or one of the things I learned, is that many of our students are 18-year-olds, 19-year-old
Sure.
students that are for the first time away from mom and dad. They come to our campus, and all of a sudden some of those more, how can we say, the rigorous boundaries that confined them in their home setting is now all of a sudden gone. And they do get themselves in trouble, they do make mistakes, but I think the risk, when we were young and we made those mistakes, the cost, the risk was much lower than for our students. And so empathy, you know, figuring out what our students need and doing it. And so we figured out that oftentimes, you know, I've been in academia for nearly 20 years. I know what a registrar is, I know what the provost is. Our students are coming from places they don't know.
Sure.
This is the first time on an academic campus. And the orientation was a way then to focus them, show them what resources are available, where to get help, get to know a familiar face. And so with the hope then that we are a true community and that those students can find the help
Sure.
they need.
As much as the entire community at the University of Pikeville tries to tear down those barriers that stand before students, who is the provost? What is a registrar?
Yes, sir.
What is registration? These type of things that we take for granted, many of us that have been around the university for years or decades. Here in Central Appalachia, we still see first generation college students
Yes.
that can't even go home and talk to mom and dad and say, okay, they're talking about a registrar in orientation that I need to meet with. What is that? And I think some of us lose that.
We definitely do, and I mean that was the sole focus, or a large part of the focus of the orientation was then that we can get some of those things out of the way before the academic work
Sure.
starts, right? So you're trying to negate this solid single blow, like a jackhammer when they come up, and it's
Right.
like, wow, everything's new. And so what we did then is introduce them to the major people. They know the president, they know the provost, they know their roles, they know some of their faculty. You know, they know registration's coming, they've been helped. The GRAL system and obviously student success and many other people play roles as they are entering us. But I think still that first few days on campus can be really disconcerting.
Sure.
And we also do, you know, we don't only do the hard things, we also had some social events and planned in there. They had a football scrimmage with Coach Holland's team. The soccer team gave us a scrimmage. You know, give some prizes away, have some food together, and just build some camaraderie, not only between us as a faculty and the staff and the students, but then also among themselves. Many of them are coming here, meeting people for the first time. they might be meeting their future husband or wife.
Exactly.
And so build those camaraderie too, because, research supports, and intuitively we know that if you're part of a community, it's much less likely that you get lost.
Absolutely. And a university, as the University of Pikeville has grown, that community has grown as well. It can be overwhelming. It can be intimidating. Students that maybe come from a smaller high school and now come to a college campus where that number is larger than what they're accustomed to. It can be overwhelming. The process can be overwhelming. Being away from home. So many different issues that hit first-year students. I think it's a great program to be able to try to break down those walls. How have you seen the impact with the first-year students, the first-year program? How have you seen that impact on students already?
Well, last year we only ran the academic side, so we ran a course for them. We did not actually have the orientation, and one of the things that came from then is basically in our spring semester, we already formed bonds with some of those first years from last fall. What we see this year is Monday when I walked into my class, half of my class I already knew them.
Sure.
I already had a meal with them. We ate an ice cream together. We had a ritual together. We went to a football scrimmage or a soccer scrimmage together. And so it actually seems that I'm able to, and incidentally some of the other faculty, we were talking about it actually this afternoon, it's much easier to start at the real academic work because that period of kind of getting used to each other is shortened now. We've already spent 3 pretty intense days together.
Right.
And so they seem to be ready to get into the business of academics much faster. The familiarity, they're not scared of you. They kind of know, you look a little bit gruff, but at least they've shared some words with you. And I think that's where it's going to be at, is that we are going to build that community much faster.
Not just a college professor of biology standing behind a lectern being harsh and lecturing my biology class, but a guy that they hung out with for a few days.
Exactly. We laughed together, shared a few jokes together, and now we get down to the business. But I think it also sets up that responsibility, the kind of synergy that happens between a faculty member and a student. I've got a responsibility to them. I've got a responsibility to their academics, but they also understand that they've got a responsibility right back, that there's a synergy, it's a give and take. And I think that's one of the most important things that we're definitely seeing right now.
I would imagine that one of the greatest problems between a college member of a faculty and a student, in particular earlier students, first, second year students, is when they're having issues, when they're having problems, when they don't get something.
Yeah.
They won't approach that faculty member. You're tearing down some of those walls as well.
And those are the walls we want to break down, and we've got a team of, especially in first year studies, and then peripheral to that, the other faculty. We are concentrating specifically on those issues. So we've been out to, we've got done training through the university, how to sustain these programs, how to help these students. And it's oftentimes you notice, and sometimes it's, it's just a kind word. It's like, hey, are you going okay today? Is everything good with first week?
Sure.
I just actually walked right before that. I had my freshman studies course I taught them, and they walked in. I was like, how's the first week going? And they excited, but you can see that the novelty of being on campus is starting to wear off a little bit.
Right.
They know where things are, and now they realize the work is coming, and I think they're tired. I mean, I think this weekend people will sleep well.
Sure.
They've been running for a few days now, but it is that familiarity, having somebody you can talk to. Now, for each student, it's going to be somebody different, But the idea is also that we get mentors in this process, that they know a faculty member, at least one faculty member, that they can go to, and that faculty member can then get them to the proper resources, depending on what it is.
Dr. Matthias Meyer, our guest on this edition of Where the 99 Lead, an associate professor of biology, but today we focus on the first year experience, a way to provide opportunities for further success for first year students at the University of Pikeville. You speak of this orientation and sharing a meal, having an ice cream cone, and a ritual that you've shared with these students, where first year students climbed the 99.
Yes, sir.
That's near and dear to my heart, because this show is talking about the historic 99 steps, a huge part of campus, symbolically more so now than practically they were 30 years ago before elevators. those lead to campus, they lead from campus. Talk about the symbolic meaning of this ceremony, the ritual, and the 99.
Well, we wanted to do something that was special for our program, and kind of bring that idea in, because the first year obviously is a symbolic year. You are leaving and you are entering. You're leaving one part of your life and you're entering, we don't want to say adulthood necessarily, we don't want people to grow up too fast, but in a way you are.
Right.
And so, excuse me, we saw a photo when President Webb first joined campus. There was a photo in his office of people climbing the 99, and we wanted something that historically is important. So, although the ritual's new, a little bit more intentional new, it's not a new ritual. It's been done since the founding of this university. People used to climb that 99 to get up that hill. And so symbolically for us, and our logo is on my shirt here, it includes the 99.
Right.
It is the symbolic entering of campus, entering our community and becoming part of this. Not leaving your community behind,
Right.
but joining our family. And so the ritual starts down at the bottom base of the 99 around Governor Patton's statue, which is an important man. We gather around there. 2 faculty members are selected by the director of first year studies at this point, and they were somebody that contributed and went above and beyond during the summer. They climb and they light torches that leads all the way up to the plaza at the top of the 99. And then we basically, as a community, students and faculty, gather at the base. President and the provost lead them up the stairs, we climb up, and they receive a pin, their first year pin, which then is their kind of official introduction into the University of Pikeville.
I would imagine there have been studies done, a look back at the program, its origin, how to improve it,
Yes, sir.
tweaks to the program. You talked about the academic first year studies last year. How does the first year experience, how does the first year academic studies course affect retention?
It does. We're assessing the program right now. We're looking at the data. National data definitely shows that a program like this can lead to significant gains. What we're covering in the academic side of things are basic things like study skills. We find that many of our students, I actually had a meeting with a student today, and she came to me and she said, I've never studied in my life, you know.
Yeah.
Oftentimes it's easier, and now all of a sudden the load's so much longer. So we work on things like basic study skills, reading, but also on larger issues of critical thinking, the other. You know, you might feel alone on campus, you might feel separated from campus in a way. But we also do things service. I think one of our central things at the University of Pikeville is service. We serve our students, and our students serves our community. And so the academic program we're evaluating right now, but we are making great gains in that field, I think.
Definitely affects retention, and that's what it's all about.
Yes.
A student has to be successful in that first year to be retained and move on to the second year and beyond, and that's what it's all about, providing those opportunities. You mentioned service.
Yes,
It's
sir.
an important part and has taken a significant role on campus. First year students learn what it's like to be a bear by being given service opportunities to volunteer during orientation week. What are some of the projects and the locations that were given to the students?
I just got the numbers early this morning, and so I'll share some of the numbers. I've got them
Okay.
right here. So on Saturday, we took 250 of our students, an additional 25 faculty and staff. We placed them in 6 counties in 3 states,
Wow,
and we served 31 organizations.
wow.
Those organizations range, I can't tell them all of you off the top of my head, but it ranged from car washes that financially benefits organizations like the hospice system.
Sure,
We took students to animal shelters to walk dogs and help clean.
right.
We've had students build wheelchair accessible ramps, a house. They work with Habitat for Humanity. Hospitals, old age homes, assisted living centers. For instance, my group went out to Elkhorn City. We helped the mayor beautify the city downtown. And so there's a great variety. We serve ourselves too in a way. We went to our new field station and we did some Kunstler control there. And so students are exposed to a great variety of people. For many of them, it's their first time in Eastern Kentucky. They came here last week. And they get out in the community and people see that they serve too. And our community partners have been great to our students. It's an amazing day.
Yeah, not just exposing those students to those community organizations, but exposing the community organizations to a U Pike student as well.
You know, one of the things that we think is that we don't always, we're not that good at assessing everything. One of the stories that really hit home to me this past year was that we introduced a student on our first day of service learning that we did last year. They went back. They've been volunteering there for a year. None of us were aware of it.
Wow.
But so that was not done to impress us. That was done as true service. And so those things are important. You know, exposing not only our students to our community, but also our community to our students, that we become a larger community. And so you should join us one year. You are more than welcome to come, but it is an amazing, amazing day.
Yeah, happened to see a group of, I assume now, first-year students with a member of the faculty on Saturday, and they had been cleaning up around the pond in downtown Pikeville with some cleanup of the banks. And
that was Dr. John
you
Howie.
have debris. Yeah. Dr. Howie and a group of students. They were having a fantastic time. And I saw that and I was like, that's community service at work. Those are U Pike students.
Exactly.
And as just a resident of the community, so impressed to see those students out giving their Saturday.
And to be honest with you, this part of our program is the forte of obviously Rob Music, and this does not end with this day of learning or day of service. It continues through the semester, but we wanted to have something large where everybody gets on the same day,
right? A
common shared experience. Yeah. We all get back to campus, and that night we've got kind of very how can we say, low impact, low physical exercise games, and some just kind of debriefing together on campus.
We've talked about some of those shared experiences, how you left the plaza and there was a group of students. Hours later, those students are still there, talking, interacting with people they've just met in an orientation program. You believe shared experiences bring people together. Obviously, the shared day of service as well. How have you seen, outside the plaza story, those students maybe that serve together, forming relationships on campus?
Well, definitely. So we followed up our day of service on Saturday. On Sunday, we actually had a joint service on campus, worship service. After we had a picnic, and then we basically opened up the buildings to show students where things are. And I ran into a few students and said, you know, how was your day been and everything? And I was like, man, how long have you guys known each other? And they were like, we met each other yesterday.
Yeah.
But, you know, and so those are the bonds that formed. Strange bonds sometimes, you know. People, you know, the first day you see them, they're on opposite sides, and the next day they're walking together. But it's those lifelong friendships.
Sure.
You think about, if I think about how many people that I met during my college career are still my very close friends, many of them are.
Right.
And so these are lifelong friendships. And I think it's just finding your place in the world. And that's the opportunity to do that before the pressures of the academic year really hits home. They get a little bit of bonding time, and they get those support services. You know, you need somebody to talk to sometimes.
And as those students run into issues with a faculty member, this guy's tough.
Yeah.
I've never seen a test like this. I've never seen exams like this. How do they have someone that they can talk to about those same struggles that they share as well?
Exactly.
Why is it important? We talk about service. We've talked about service quite a bit on this program. Why is it important for U Pike students, faculty, and staff to serve and give back to the community?
Well, this community supports us, but secondly, you know, and that's from a personal point of view too, but I think we as a university propose this. What else is there? You know, if we really think there's money.
Sure.
But we are social animals. I'll get back to the biology. And I think serving makes us real. I think it gives us those connections. It's part of our mission. But I think it's the ability to sit down with somebody else and come down after a hard day of service and feel good about it. I think that's something, as we've moved away from a kind of agricultural society, maybe an industrial society where many of us worked or many people work in factories, I think we've lost the ability to appreciate the pleasure that comes after a hard day of work.
Sure.
You know, you know what it's like. We work in gardens now. to just get that physical labor and the idea of serving makes us real. I honestly and genuinely believe that. It might sound a little bit trite, but I think that's what it's about. Serving your fellow man makes you real.
Absolutely. Dr. Matthias Meyer, Associate Professor of Biology, our guest on this edition. We talk about the first year experience, orientation, and also a freshman studies course at the University of Pikeville. Classes are now underway.
They are, sir.
First year students will take part in a freshman studies course or courses. Give us an overview of that program, what it's all about.
Well, we're on our second day of that course. The course runs 2 days a week for the first 10 weeks of the semester. And basically in that course we then do kind of some of more of the academic aspects. So we have a common film experience that we share, where everybody watches the same film. We think about critical thinking. We also help them with budgeting. This is the time of the year that a lot of students have started receiving credit card applications and maybe not able to balance the budget pretty well. They're on their own for the first time. We do a whole section on that. And then also on interpersonal relationships on campus. What do you do if you run into a roommate that you might not get along with? Relationship issues. We cover all of those aspects, and then where the resources are that can help you if you get stuck on those things.
Sure.
And then obviously on the academic part, we talk about time management. Large percentage of student athletes on our campus, as you know. Many of them actually have a good idea of how to balance their time.
Right.
We maybe reinforce it a little bit more, talk about priority building and stuff like that. So there's a lot that happens. We have a global citizen aspect to it. You know, our international student population is growing a little bit.
Sure.
And oftentimes for many of our students, this is the first time they've met somebody from a different country, maybe from a different culture. And so to kind of ease that transition and make them better. Soft skills is another thing we cover. You know, it's at some point they are going to sit down for an interview with somebody or have a meal with somebody that might be a part of an interview. So we're trying to teach them about how to behave properly sometimes. Sure. You know, and we cover a great variety of aspects there.
A lot of times it's the first time that these students have had to manage their own time. And as you said earlier, a student's first time that they realized, I have to study. I've never had to. It came easily to me before. Now I'm being challenged.
Yeah.
Those things, and first year students all over campus are encountering those. Before we wrap up, talk about who teaches those freshman studies courses.
Freshman study, once again, pretty much the same committee that was responsible for the orientation. We try and pull from as wide a variety of people as possible. I know you know Dean Tom Hess.
Sure.
Dean Hess is teaching that course this semester with us. We have everybody from Katie Williamson, she's from the library. Undergrad faculty, a bunch of them, business school faculty. So we pull from everywhere. Office of Student Success with Miss Ambria Ray, we've pulled some of her people in. ACE, the ACE program, we've got some. So we try and include as wide a variety of people as possible so that we can cover that whole bottom layer, so they can get help from everywhere. And in that way then to get them the mentors in the proper places where they can pull basically anybody from anybody on campus and get those things done.
Dr. Meyer, I can hear from talking with you for these last several minutes, this program's been good for you.
It has. It definitely has.
You've had a fun summer.
I have had a busy summer.
Yes.
Learned many things. I mean, you know, they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Yes.
But I can tell you I've learned many new things this
Very
summer. Good. You know, so it's been a good summer.
None of us ever should stop learning.
No, that's true.
That's right. Dr. Meyer, thanks for being with us. We appreciate you.
I appreciate it.
Have a great academic year, and we'll talk again soon.
I'm sure we will.
Dr. Matthias Meyer, Associate Professor of Biology at the University of Pikeville, as we talk about first year experience, those first year students and how to provide opportunities for their success at the University of Pikeville. You've been tuned to Where the 99 Lead, a program brought to you by the University of Pikeville, the leading university of Central Appalachia.